Today is Friday, so tonight starts Shabbos. And used to be that every Thursday I would make challah for Shabbos. And I've gotten out of that routine for a very long time. So I'm going to start getting back into it. So this recipe I've had since I was 20, thereabouts. I was 20. This cookbook was given to me by my mom, and it came from the Hadassah group in Rochester, New York, which is where we're originally from. And I have used this. I mean, it's all stained up. The binder came off of it a while back, so I keep it now in a gallon-sized Ziploc bag. So I gave this one recipe to my niece Renee, who lives in Arizona, and she did it, and she said it came out great. So here we go. I already have 2 packages of yeast in my 2 cups of warm water. I want to soften that. So what I should have got was a fork, but since I don't have that handy, I'll go ahead and stir this in. I hope everyone's having a wonderful Friday. So far, the weather has held out today. We had one heck of a storm last night. It just sort of, poof, it hit. Tore some shingles off the roof on our detached garage and moved buckets that were full of mulch, tipped them completely over. So we had some decent winds. I haven't heard of any tornadoes or anything happening, so I guess that's a plus. So what I'm going to do is pour this in my bowl. I'm going to mix everything in this. So there goes my 2 cups of warm water. Just making sure all the yeast goes with it. There we go. And to that, I'm going to add 7 tablespoons of sugar. Already measured that out. I have 4 teaspoons of salt. There again, that is measured out. I knew those little bowls would come in handy sooner or later. 1/4 cup salad oil. Well, my salad oil is gone, so this is sunflower oil. Cross your finger that it turns out. And then my 3 slightly beaten eggs. I've only done 2. I knew I shouldn't have had that other egg sitting here. Sounds like it's raining, but it doesn't look like it. Okay, so that's mixed up with my sugar and salt, water and yeast. Get this quick mix. These bowls are wonderful. There's a set of them, and this one's the biggest. And these also come with lids. They used to have them at Sam's Club. I don't know if they still do or not. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, it calls for 6 to 7 cups of flour, but you start with 4 cups, because you can always add more, you can't take out. So I'm going to put in 4 cups of regular flour. Mix this up. Actually, I could have done this with my KitchenAid, but I have always made this just by stirring it by hand. But then again, my arthritis wasn't as bad as what it is now, so it'll work. Starting to look like glue. Get this out of the way. Now this recipe, the bread, the dough rises twice. It'll rise once after I get this incorporated and all the flour put in and kneaded. That'll rise till it's double. And then once I make them into braids, it rises again. And then I bake it. And I just have to add more flour to make a workable dough. So that was 4 cups. That's 5. We'll see what happens here. So if you were with an Orthodox Jewish family, starting Friday morning, the wife, mother, goes around and gets everything clean, starts her cooking, because for Shabbos, especially for the Orthodox, I was raised conservative. Once sundown hits, you don't turn on an oven. You don't turn on a TV. They use to keep stuff warm. They put it on hot plates right before Shabbos or Sabbath begins, which is sundown. And it's sundown Friday night to sundown Saturday night. Do not ride in a car. You walk. An Orthodox family will have 2 different sets of dishes, 2 different sets of silverware, plus 2 sets of pots and pans. This reasoning is because you do not mix meat and dairy. When I was over in Israel, when I was there for the year, I got to meet cousins of on my mom's side, my Grandma Phillips's family. And one of them, they all lived in Rishon LeZion, beautiful little town. And I stayed with them for a while. They had a kitchen that they ran at a training center, so I worked in the kitchen. But they are Orthodox. And silly me didn't think anything about it. And I forget what I went in the cupboard for, or maybe I was putting dishes away, and I put them in the wrong cupboard or the wrong spot. And all the dishes had to come out of the cupboard, and they were all washed again. So they don't teach me for mixing my dairy and meat kitchen accessories. But the challah is the typical bread, or bread of choice, I suppose, on a Jewish Sabbath table Friday night. The Shabbos candles are lit, which I will be doing tonight, and I will include that in the video before we edit and publish. Well, this is getting, I think, a little bit better. So I'm going to start kneading it. Yeah. guess it's my turn to play in the Play-Doh. The girls got to do with the seed balls the other night, or seed bombs, however you call them, the other afternoon, and now it's my turn. When my 3 children were small, and my nieces and nephews, at one point or another, they were all over my mom's, whether it was for a holiday or she was watching them or whatever, they were there. And if she was making bread, and could her and my Antoinette make a sweet bread? And I have that recipe. By far anything better you would buy in the store. But anyway, when Mom was making bread, she always had small metal loaf pans, and those was for the kids. She would get the dough and knead it, and it would rise. And then when she was ready to do whatever she had to do, she would always cut off a portion for each of the kids. And they each had their own loaf pan, or if they wanted to do it straight onto the cookie sheet, she had cookie sheet ready, and they each made their own loaf of bread, always. So I'm going to knead this a little bit more. Okay, need a little bit more flour. It's still too tacky. There we go, I think that might have done it. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of flour down here on the metal table. This was all cleaned out before I started. Take this out. I'm going to knead it. This is a killer for my fingers, but it's going to be oh so good. I'm going to make one loaf plain. I'm going to put raisins in the other loaf. There we go. Okay. So what I'm going to do now, I have a bowl that I oiled. I'm going to put this in the bowl. What I need to do is put just a little bit of oil on top. There we go. And then I'm going to cover it and let the dough rise until it's doubled. So, I will see you back once it's doubled, and then we'll go from there. Okay, well, it's time to take the dough out of the warm spot, and that was my oven. So I'll put this over here. I need to get a little bit of flour onto my hand so I don't stick to it. Just have to punch this down. This is Mother's version of a punching bag. Oh yeah. Just roll that right out. Okay. I'm going to cut this in half. Put one half back in here. Then this half, I'm going to put a little flour down on the table here. So it takes care of the stickiness. There we go. And this I cut into thirds. Close enough. Now each one of these thirds I roll out into a long strip. Doesn't take rocket science. Just a big kid playing with silly putty, Play-Doh. Then once both of these are braided, I cover the cookie sheet and I put it in a warm spot again for these to double. So I'll start at the top, get all three, and I fold that over to keep it like that. And I just like you would do a little girl's hair, just braid it. I'll tell you right now, one of these is a lot thicker than the other two. This one right here, that one's heavy. But that's okay. Punch that together. Move this onto the cookie sheet over here. Put a little bit more flour down. Now before I roll this out, I wanted to add some raisins. Do something since I didn't do this before, and the raisins are a tad hard. I'm going to sneak over, add some water to this little tiny bowl, get them a little bit rejuvenated. Just go ahead and roll that right out. Yeah, these are nice. Yeah, seem to be doing okay. That's all I need. Go ahead and rinse these out. Well, not rinse them out, just get the water off. And what I'm going to do is put a little valley in here. And I'll knead in those. I don't want to knead too much. This one is going to have raisins everywhere. kneading it back and forth and rolling it into itself. I mainly is doing this just so I can get the raisins pretty much incorporated into most all of it. I personally like to use white raisins, but didn't have any, so beggars can't be choosers. Don't think I'm going to get any complaints anyway. So, 3 strips. Oh, almost made it too moist. Oh, we shall see if I screwed it up or not. It's like ants on a log. There we go, 1 strip. Two strips. This is the 3rd. Well, they look about the same size. Take the 3 tops, press them together, roll it over, and then we start the braid. And these are a lot thicker than the other one. That's cool. A lot of times you'll see challah in the stores with their sesame seeds on top or poppy seeds, because my husband can't tolerate seeds, or we'll end up with him back in the hospital again. I just do, when I get ready to put this in the oven, I will just do an egg wash over the top, and that'll be it. So this one is a little bit smaller, but that's fine. So got those 2 there. Going to take my towel, which was my mother's, and I think this was her baking towel, where she would also cover everything. And I'll stick this back in the oven and wait for this to double. I'll see you then. Hey folks, well, we're back again. The oven, my 2 loaves have risen very nicely. I already put the oven on to preheat. I'm not sure if you can, I'll walk this around. This is what they rose up. The first one I did is a little bit lopsided. It's bigger up here than it is down here, but I said that was going to happen. And the second loaf has raisins in it. Next time I go to the store, I will remember to buy white raisins, because like I said, I like them better in this bread. So all we have to do at this point is just brush the top and the sides with an egg wash. Just one egg beaten, and then if you have a pastry brush, I have several. This one's a silicone. These are awesome. I have a few of these. I think I bought these mainly because it came with ones that had a smaller handle and a shorter, obviously shorter brush on it. So that way when Kaylee and Celia come over, my two granddaughters, our youngest granddaughters, they each have their own, so they're not fighting over, I won, it's my turn, no, it's my turn, and then we have World War III. I'm sure nobody else's granddaughters or grandchildren or children ever do that. But anyway, I'm going to have to figure out, I'm going to have to separate these because they are touching. I really don't want them to bake that way. Let me see if I can. No, I'll just have to let them cook that way, and I'll break them apart when they're done. So that's it. Nice and fluffy. Got egg wash over all of it. We're going to go in a, you can use 325 to 350. I usually just set mine at 350, which is what it automatically comes on. I'm doing a convection bake on these, and 35 to 40 minutes, and I usually let it go the full 40. That's it. I'm going to put these in the oven, and we'll check on these in 40 minutes. Well, Shabbos is here. It's almost sundown. So to say a prayer, we have to have our heads covered. So what I have here is a kippah. Mom and Dad apparently went to a bat mitzvah in Rochester. This was, looks like May 20th, 1993, maybe? 95? For bat mitzvah, so it's one of my cousins. Middle name is Lynn Phillips. I can't make out the first name, so I'm sorry. So this is a cousin's kippah. So I'm going to put that on so I can get my head covered. And forgive me while I use this type of lighter. I don't have any matches handy. There we go. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu ha'al ner shel Shabbat. I'm nervous, I'm sorry. The meaning of that is, blessed are you, God, ruler of the universe, who sanctified us with the commandment of lighting Shabbos candles. Now these are the candlesticks that I have. I've had these for years. My mother had a beautiful set. I think when Mom passed my brother Perry, I took them, so I'm not sure where they are now. And I have a small little thing I just want to read. The idea of Shabbat is to take a break from ordinary life and focus on family, community, and spiritual growth. Shabbat's arrival on Friday night just before sundown is marked with a special candle lighting ceremony, which I did. Most families follow that up with prayer over wine and Challah. Well, good old Mogan David I have left over from Pesach, so here's the wine. And this is one of the 2 loaves of challah bread that I made. It's just smells wonderful. So I sliced off a piece of that, And I'm going to put just a little bit of honey on it, just because I want to. Awesome. This is fantastic. So, Shalom Shabbat to everyone, to my family, to my daughter in Florida, to my boys here locally, to my grandson in Columbus, my sister and her family out in California. I have a niece here, and I have two nieces here still in Ohio, and a sister-in-law, also in California. So subscribe, tell your family, tell your friends, and have a good Shabbos.